Shooting USA is brought to you by SnapSafe and their full line of premium vault doors. Use code SUSA15 to save 15% at snapsafe.com. And again, my distinct pleasure to welcome longtime friend JJ Ricaza. JJ, welcome to the Shooting USA videocast.
Thank you for having me, John. It's good to see you again and talk with you here.
Does anybody call you Razor anymore?
Sometimes, yeah, it appears once in a while in some random ranges. The older, more experienced crowd,
Mm-hmm.
not the younger
Mm-hmm.
ones though.
It's interesting, and that's part of the reason why I reached out about this. There is a younger crowd. There is a new group pushing at the front. And before we get into that, World Shoot this year, how many World Shoots does this make for you? How many times have you been to World Shoot?
99, 2002, 2005, 2011, 14, 17, 22, eighth. This is my eighth. I skipped one.
Wild. That
It
is
is.
nuts.
Yeah, that's what, 24 years, I guess, or more, but because I skipped one, I count 24 years in essentially in World Shoot alone.
Yeah, I mean, 99, we were still doing American Shooter. We had not transitioned to Shooting USA yet. So, I mean, that's standard def OG TV. That predates the iPhone. That predates the internet. That predates a lot of YouTube. There was no such thing as
There was no
YouTube.
YouTube.
My goodness gracious.
Yeah,
Tell me about your trip to South Africa.
it was good. I've had some going to South Africa was a little bit nerve-wracking. You know, you hear a lot of reports, but once we actually got there, the place was actually really cool. The World Shoot was had a different feel to it. The World Shoot setup in terms of stages was completely different than what we're used to. It was a lot faster, higher hit factor, and so there was like almost an immediate panic into our game plan. Like we've been shooting all year, 30 yards, 25 yards, 40 yards, and at distant, and all of a sudden here's a lot of close targets, and so we had to make an adjustment. And my dad wasn't happy about the adjustment that I made. It took me like basically 2 days to get it going, and then but once you get behind on that kind of setup, it was essentially just a hard hole to dig out of.
Yeah, no doubt. Still managed as a team silver. So you got to be happy with that.
We did. We fought for that though. We were fighting for the silver place. We almost lost it and got behind. I think, on the third day, and then I think once I got my act together, and then Jay Beal and Hetherington were doing what they needed to do. All they needed was a third person to kind of start shooting well. So as a team together, collectively, we did all right. Managed to
Yeah.
play silver. Yep.
Yeah, it's good. One highlight not related to shooting. Anything you did, anything you ate, anything you might have seen down there?
It's a highlight and also kind of almost brings tears to my eyes. It might be my dad's last world shoot with me.
Mm.
Um, so we got to hang out with each other. He's been there for every major match that I've ever been to, and every world shoot that I've ever been to, and somewhere in the middle, he was like, "Hey, pull your head out of your butt, shoot good, because this is most likely going to be my last world shoot." He goes, just because of how he's his age and all that stuff. So it became a lot more memorable because whatever we did, we made sure to kind of make use of it and started reminiscing a lot.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. I was not expecting that. And
I,
you know very, very well that your dad is a close friend of mine and an inspiration for me to pull my head out of my butt and make some changes in my life. I'm hopeful that he's around for a long, long time. But if he doesn't want to fly 20 hours to South Africa, by God, he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he's done enough of it, right? He's stuck with me, and he's been the guy that's been there from the start. So it's one of those. It's a highlight, but at the same time, it's kind of like we've had a great career, I guess, together. So we never thought it would come this far.
Yeah. As we were setting up this interview, I was just proofing and getting ready to read Final Voice on Race Gun from Utah, and exciting match. And part of the reason why I want to chat with you because there's a new group. There are new names, new faces, and one of which I had the pleasure of talking with, Brennah Gaston. She mentioned you personally as part of her journey into like the elite level of competition. What's remarkable to me, and maybe you can talk about this a little bit, she told me she's only been shooting about 2 years. And
Yeah,
she's gone from 2 years just got into it and made the world shoot team as an alternate, came back with a gold medal, and turned around and went to race gun nationals with an open gun, and is now the ladies national champion. And she
Yeah.
credits moving to Florida and training with you. So tell me about this prodigy, man.
I mean, there's a lot of them out there, right? She's one of those standouts that just kind of picked up the gun, and her athleticism kind of took over a lot of things. And I got to see her one time shooting a stage. And I remember my dad and I were really impressed with the way she moved. Like no one moves the way she moves, like, essentially, in terms of that attacking the field course, and the footwork was really there. So we were like, hey, this is a great opportunity to see if we can help her out a little bit. But she ended up just taking a class and took off, like absolutely took off, ate up all this technique, ate up all the efficiency. She was fast already. We just worked on the concept of efficiency. But there's a whole lot of those young kids now, and I'm looking around now, and it's a sad position to be in, not, where I feel like I'm still young enough to compete with the best of them and still try to go for the wins. But yet at the same time, I'm watching all the ones that I've been able to teach and being in a position to do so and start to creep up there. And it's kind of hurtful that I'm the one that's getting picked on now, and that is no longer like, hey, I could control my shooting. These guys are just so much faster. They're coming on with a whole bunch of information, videos out there, YouTube. So people are getting so good so fast. So it's really, really cool. And at the same time, it's sad to see the turn of the page, right? Like you and me have
Mm.
been around together for so long that you came in the scene, and when I was coming on, I was the younger kid coming in, right? And then now
Yep.
it's like I feel like I'm that guy that's maybe at the tail end of my career, and just
No.
I'm in a position now to help a lot of people. But I feel like if I just crush my fitness, I can stay in around the game for much longer and still try to fight off some of these young bucks coming up.
Well, there's that. Yeah. Stay relevant, stay sharp. You're still Razor Racaza. You stay fit, you stay strong. You still will have those moments. But I think the other element that's interesting is you've cultivated a real training doctrine that not only competitive shooters seek out, but military law enforcement personnel as well. What's the key to creating something like that?
I believe the key is working on a lot of self-development. You figure out, you do a lot of trial and error, and see what works for you. And when I wrote down my curriculum, and I remember thinking, it's like, man, every single one of these have been taught. Nothing has been not covered out there. And so I started looking at what else am I doing that may have been different than everyone else. And I remember just thinking efficiency. People talk about speed and being fast and accurate. I was like, well, the efficiency game was really a big thing for me because I couldn't be fast on a trigger. I was going against Max and Chris Tilly and Casey that were just stupid fast at that time with their triggers, that I was like, man, I got to figure out a way. I couldn't shoot the way they shoot paper. So I figured if I figured out a ways to be efficient, my movement, my footwork, and utilize that a little bit more, spend a little bit more time in the gym, be a little bit more explosive. I thought that that could be my way in. And obviously I had some successes throughout the years. And so I hung on to that, and I said, what did I do? Right? I just kept asking, what did I do to make this happen? And then I would test it. I would test being fast and I would test being efficient. I'm like, oh, this is the difference. This is the gap. And so if you have both, it's the best thing in the world to have both, when you're being fast and efficient at the same time. But we all had our strengths and weaknesses, and I worked on that. And I remember writing it all down, thinking, no one needs this. But I was like, maybe it's just the way I'll explain it. Maybe it's the way I came up with a process, and I started writing down the process and started naming all of these things. And it's really, really unbelievably cool to be a part of a culture where it's no longer called competition shooting. For a long time, when I started teaching in the beginning, competition shooting was very looked down upon in the military and contracting and law enforcement world. Now they just changed the name to performance shooting, and it's absorbed and accepted really well by the industry. It's you see now, look around in the industry. There's a lot of performance instructors out there, and it's really cool to see that I'm part of that generation to have switched that. And there's people are seeing the holes in there, and now we're getting hired by military and law enforcement to teach these things, and it's changing the culture.
Yep. What's interesting about that is there were some elite level guys early on in my career coming in the 90s and so on, about that time you say you're coming up and so on, that had moved on to those training gigs, those elite level training gigs. And at that point, you don't see those guys in the competition sphere anymore. You're different. And I think a couple of the others who are in your generation who do the same thing are different. Why is it that you still, I mean, you could just be like, all right, I'm good with USPSA, I'm good with IPSC, I'm cool to just go over here and run my business. What is it about the matches that keep you coming back?
I get goosebumps all the time. You say when people ask me that, it's really the fact that I can test out theories and concepts that I'm trying to work on and put it up against the best of the best out there, right? And sometimes your own personal performance will suffer because you're trying different things out for that year, but really to
Mm,
benefit everyone else or hundreds or thousands later on when I get to teach and talk about it, where so someone asks a question. I've already kind of experienced it because I gave it a the 6 month trial or whatever it is, and then and there's always a process, right? You try some new thing, you hear some new thing, even if it's an old thing, but differently approached and applied. And so now you're working on yourself. And then once you figure out that this may be good or bad, start testing it on matches. And maybe there's an application there or it's application to the real world. And then now the question is like, how do I make this into a drill that everyone benefits, that doesn't take a long time to explain? And it's a very efficient thing. So it's a whole process that digs, and competition is really, really big in that because that's the only place for me to test and really put it to research and see if it's good or bad. There's nothing else out there. I can do it myself, but under pressure, so many things happen differently.
praise, man. That's, I mean, that's gospel. And that I think is why you are so successful in both arenas. Um, Tell me about Beretta. Tell me about continuing to work with that major flagship company and how much support and how beneficial that's been.
Um, it's been an amazing honor to shoot for a company that's about to turn 500 years old,
Right?
and for them to actually consider that I'm an asset, right? They want me to stay. They want me to work with them. They've mentioned that even if I was no longer shooting competition, that I will still be. They'll find a position for me in Beretta to continue to be with Beretta. So it's that's an amazing accomplishment in of itself. But working with them as a company to see that they were all about shotgun. They're well known for their shotgun, and the family really was like, "Hey, we're gonna make a push with our pistol," and to kind of almost not necessarily spearhead it, but to be a part of the few selected people that were trusted enough with our experience and background to make an opinion and make feedback with these guns that they're coming out with now. And it's been such a blast being with them. They work differently than other gun manufacturers. Obviously, being 500 years old, they have a structure that they follow that proves to be successful for them. Whether they're a little bit slower into integrating certain things, but it is really, really neat to be part of that group, right? And in my career nowadays, it's like, how much can I affect in terms of making the gun better? And will that be my legacy to leave for Beretta to make it better? Like now, I'm one of the guys that brings the Beretta name in the pistol world, and bring it out to the forefront out there.
Absolutely cool, man. It's been wild to watch, and the improvement in the time that you've been involved and you've had their hardware in your hands has been notable. It's unmistakable. So congratulations on all of that success, and here's to 20 more years. And it won't be much longer before you get that designation of senior, but I still see you top 10 everywhere we go, man. That's all I got for you. Thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, John.